Hello students, I am Dr. Mandakini Patel, Professor of Pathology. Today I am going to introduce to the pathology and role of pathology in diagnostic processes. The word pathology is derived from two Greek words, pathos and logos. Pathos means suffering and logos means study. So pathology is study of suffering. It is a scientific study of changes in the structure and function of the body in disease condition. Pathology consists of abnormality in the normal anatomy and histology which you have studied in the first MBBS, and as well in, changes in the normal physiology. So it is a abnormality in normal anatomy and normal physiology. So first I will tell you the evolution of medicine, how we as a pathologist evolved. So first of all, ancient Egyptian people, they used to mummify the body. In 17th century, Edwin Smith Papyrus studied different types of bone injuries and they gave the name it ulcerating lumps. In the mummies, they also studied bone tumors, gallstones and abscesses. But they were not knowing the underlying process of disease. So they felt that gods were the cause of the disease, and any tumor they told that it was against the god Janus. So this was all about the ancient belief about the tumor and disease of Egyptian people, and it was in 17th century. Then came the Sir William Osler. He was a physician, and he told that your practice of medicine will be as good as in understanding of pathology. He correlated pathology with clinical medicine. So he is known as the father of modern medicine. Then all of you know you took the Hippocrates oath when you took admission in the medicine. He was a Greek genius, and he was also a clinician, and he introduced the ethical aspects of the medicine practice. In 18th century, autopsies were very common, and due to autopsy, they were able to see pathological process in the organ. Giovanni Battista Morgagni, he was an Italian anatomist, and he started the modern medicine and pathology, and he was able to correlate patient symptom with the changes in the organ with help of his autopsy finding. So he told that disease had an anatomical and organ basis. So first pathology, surgical pathology was studied in the 18th century, and he was a Italian anatomist. Then came the museum technique. So John Hunter was considered as a father of museum pathology. He was a Scottish surgeon. He was the greatest surgeon and anatomist of all the time, who established unique collection of pathological specimen, which resulted in Hunterian Museum of the Royal College of Surgeons in the London. So he was the first person to identify the diseased organ, and he was able to mount that specimen and created a museum. So collection of specimen was first done by the John Hunter, and it was in the 1728. Then until now we were anatomists and we were studying only gross pathology. Now came the era of cellular study because of the invention of microscope and recognition of the cell. First of all, microscope was invented by von Lee van Hoek in 1632, and the practical microscope which was possible, under which the cell was studied, was found out by the Robert Hooke, and it is known as Robert Hooke microscope, and it was in the 1635. Then come the clinical pathology, hematology and clinical pathology. Sir Ehrlich, Paul Ehrlich, is the father of clinical pathology. He was a German physician, and he got Nobel Prize for his work in immunology. He found out many staining procedures in the pathology. He was the first person to identify the urobilinogen, and he found out the staining technique for cells and bacteria, and Ehrlich stain is very famous in hematology and clinical pathology. Then came the father of cellular pathology, Rudolf Virchow. He was German pathologist. See, in the 1821, the branch pathology was established, and Rudolf Virchow was the pathologist. He was a German pathologist, and he proposed the cellular theory of disease and initiated biopsy pathology for the diagnosis of the disease. So, surgical pathology was established in 1821 by Rudolf Virchow. So, he is known as the father of cellular pathology. Then blood banking. You all know there are different type of blood groups, but who was the father of blood transfusion? He was Karl Landstedt. It was in the 1863. He was an Austrian pathologist who discovered the existence of the major blood group in 1900 and was recipient of the Nobel Prize for this discovery in 1930. Then came the Papanopoli. He is the father of exfoliative cytology, and the stain he invented still is the gold standard in cytopathology. He was an American pathologist, and his role in the development of the Pap test is the diagnosis for the cancer of uterine cervix. Then came the 1860 Thomas Edison. He studied adrenocortical insufficiency and Edison disease. Then came the Thomas Hodgkin, 1866, who observed the chronic enlargement of the lymph node, and with enlargement of the lymph node there was also enlargement of liver and spleen, and the disease later identified as the Hodgkin disease after him. Then came the Graham. He can be considered a father of microbiology because he was the person who was able to stain the bacteria with the help of crystal violet, and the name of Graham stain is given by in his remembrance. Then comes the father of tuberculosis. He was a German bacteriologist, Robert Koch, and Koch's postulate is very common, very known and famous phenomena. He developed the technique and fixation of the mycobacteria. He discovered tubercle bacilli in 1882, as well as he was also a father of finding out another organism, that is Vibrio, in 1883. So he was the person who found out the relationship between microbiology and disease production, and for this he got Nobel Prize in 1905 for his investigation and discoveries in the field of tuberculosis. Then May-Grunwald-Giemsa stain, which we do in the cytopathology, and it is also useful in the blood stain and identification of RBC, WBC, and classification of the blood cells and the bone marrow cells. So it is a May-Grunwald-Giemsa stain, and it was again name given by the May-Grunwald, who was a scientist, and it was in the 1914. Then came the Sir William Leishman. He gave the stain, Leishman stain, in 1914, and he was the first person to identify Leishman-Donovan bodies in the blood smear, LD bodies, and he was also the person who identified that there is organism inside the blood which produces the disease. So until now I have discussed or told you the various evolution and various branches of the pathology: clinical pathology, hematology, surgical pathology, cytology, autopsy pathology. Now what is pathology? What is the definition of pathology? Pathology, it is a scientific study of disease. It can be molecular, cellular, tissue or organ system in response to injurious agents. So pathology, it is a bridge or link between the preclinical science, which you have already studied, that is anatomy and physiology, and in the final MBBS you will study the clinical medicine. So pathology provides a link between your basic study to the disease study. So what is the definition of disease? It is a state in which individual exhibit an anatomical, physiological and biochemical deviation from the normal. It is defined an abnormal alteration of structure or function in any part of the body. So disease is classified into two parts, developmental, or that is genetic or congenital, and acquired, that is secondary. It can be secondary to some inflammation, degenerative process, metabolic derangement, iatrogenic or neoplastic. Inflammatory can be due to secondary to trauma, infection or immune base. Degenerative is usually due to aging. Metabolic is due to some metabolic derangement like gout due to increased uric acid. Iatrogenic is usually drug induced, as for example, patients develop DIC in certain drugs. Then neoplastic is secondary to some chemical, bacteriological or viral agent that produces tumor. So basic language of pathology should be meaningful, and one should become familiar with the basic terminology which is applicable to that subject. So I am going to teach you the basic language of pathology one by one. First of all, inflammation is a very common word we use in pathology. Inflammation means response, local response of an organ or body to a cellular injury, and it is secondary to capillary dilatation, inflammatory cell infiltration, redness, heat, pain, swelling, and sometimes also there is loss of function, and which serve as a mechanism initiate the elimination of the noxious agent from the damaged tissue. So the basic problem is noxious agent which damage the tissue, and in response to noxious agent there is capillary dilatation, inflammatory cell infiltration, and clinically you can see is the redness, heat, pain and swelling, and practically that part losses is function. Then necrosis means death. Death is of living tissue, of the part of the tissue affected by local injury, and the most common cause of death of the tissue is loss of blood supply, or it can be secondary to corrosion like certain acid, heat or burning, or local lesion of any other diseases. Then comes the terminology apoptosis. It is a program sequence of events which leads to elimination of cell without releasing harmful substances into the surrounding area. So apoptosis, it is a programmed cell death, and there is no release of harmful substances in the surrounding area. The cells activate enzyme on its own and degrades own nuclear substance, that is DNA as well as cytoplasmic proteins. Then comes the word phagocytosis. Once an engulfs the particle like bacteria or other microorganism or aged RBC or foreign matter. The principal phagocytes include the neutrophil and monocytes. They are the type of white blood cells. They are phagocytes because they digest this bacteria and microorganism and inflammatory cells. Prefix phago comes from the Greek phago means eating. So phagocytosis means eating of the tissue. Then comes the bleeding. It is an abnormal flow of blood because of breach in the continuity of the vessel. So it can be external or it can be internal. External means outside the body, internal means inside the organ, that is spleen or liver. Edema means increased fluid in any tissue that leads to swelling, and it is usually prominent in the dependent part of the body, that is lower leg, in the because of fluid pools in the direction of the gravity. If the congestion is a terminology where there is excessive accumulation of the body fluid. You know the nasal congestion, excess mucus and secretion in the air passages and from the nose, that is known as nasal congestion. Common cold and congestion of blood in the lower extremities with some types of the heart failure known as the congestive heart failure or CCF or CHF. Then comes the word chemotaxis, movement of the cell in response to chemical where cells are attracted or repelled by a exit because of their chemical properties. Then comes the terminology neoplasia, means benign or malignant growth of the tissue. When cells divide, they do not divide, they accumulate or they form a mass, then it is known as neoplasm. Then there is hypertrophy, increase in the size of the cells, that is known as also megaly. Example is cardiomegaly and hepatomegaly. Hyperplasia means increase in number and size of the cells, and that is muscle hyperplasia secondary to exercise. Atrophy means decrease in the number and size of the cells, and that can be disuse atrophy, muscle wasting, as a person is because of long time lying down in the bed because secondary to surgery or orthopedic damage. So in that case the atrophy takes place. Now these were the different terminologies in the pathology. Now what are the different branches of the pathology? Under this heading you will learn pathology in our department, that is general pathology, systemic pathology, blood banking, surgical pathology, clinical pathology, immunopathology, hematology and cytology. So these are the various branches of the pathology. So to learn the pathology, we divide into basic two branches, general pathology and systemic pathology. General pathology means the disease which are common to all the organ and all the systems. So that is general pathology, like inflammation, cancer, aging, edema, hemorrhage, etc. Systemic pathology means the pathologic mechanism is related to specific organ or specific system, like cardiovascular system, central nervous system, GIT, heart, like that. So the pathologic mechanism is related to specific organ or system. So that is systemic pathology. Now what should we know about a disease? For practical purposes, pathology focuses on four aspects of the disease, that is etiology, pathogenesis, morphology and functional consequences. Etiology means what is the cause of the disease, why the disease has occurred. Then pathogenesis means mechanism, how the disease has evolved, what was the cause and how the disease, what was the mechanism for the disease process, that is pathogenesis. Morphology means what are the changes has produced in the specific organ or system because of that mechanism of disease production. So that is structural alteration induced in the cells and tissues, that is the morphology. And functional consequences, because of disease, what are the result, either due to morphological changes or cellular changes which you observe as a clinician in the patient. So that is the functional consequences, also known as clinical signs and symptoms. And it can be also studied biochemically if you study the blood or the serum. So etiology is the study of cause of disease. So knowledge of etiology remains the backbone of any disease diagnosis, and understanding the nature of the disease, and if you want to treat the patient, you should first diagnose who has caused the disease and how the disease has evolved. So on which stage you can give the medicine so that process can be stopped at that level. Then comes the study the cause of the disease. What was the etiological? if the person is suffering from any disease, if you don't find out the etiology, then you cannot prevent the further progress of the disease as well as cannot stop the disease. So you have to find out the etiological factor, like any organism, it is a bacteria, it is a virus, or it is any chemical thing. Then predisposing causes of the disease. As for example, if you are in the damp weather or you are having the poor ventilation, then certain disease can occur. So predisposing condition for the disease production. Then exciting cause of the disease. There are predisposing factor, and if you are suffering from some already viral infection, then it will lead to hypoxia. So that is the exciting cause of the disease. So that it is not directly responsible for the disease process, but it helps in the more and more production of the disease, or it can be hypoxia or chemical agent. So whenever there is any etiology, there are three types of interpretation. One disease, one etiology. As for example, if you mosquito bite and if you have malaria, then one disease, one organism, one etiological factor. Sometimes several etiological and agent and one disease. Like in diabetes, there is damage to the pancreas as well as there is some changes in the metabolism that leads to diabetes. So multiple etiological agent and one disease. One etiological agent and several disease. In smoking, if you smoke, it damages the lung, it damages the trachea, and it causes the atherosclerosis. So one etiological agent, multiple disease. Multiple etiological agent, one disease, and one etiological agent and one disease. So this is the how a etiology is explained in the pathology. There are many etiological agent can be explained by pathologists. Like for example, environmental agent like physical, chemical, nutritional, infection, immunological, psychological. Then comes the age, genes. So all different type of agent which, and when they all two come together and produce a disease, then it is a multifactorial phenomena, and it is due to the multiple etiological agent, and they are known as the disease produced by multifactorial, and they are diabetes, hypertension and cancer. Now what is pathogenesis? It is a sequence of events in response to cells or tissue by etiologic agent from initial stimulus to ultimate expression of the disease. The core of science of pathology is to study the pathogenesis of the disease and diagnosis. So, role of pathology is to study the etiological agent, the process which have produced in the organ or system because of that etiology, that is pathogenesis, and because of this pathogenesis, what type of changes in the cell as well as in the serum or blood has taken place, so you can diagnose that disease condition. So that is the role of a pathologist. Now what is morphology? Morphology means structural changes. It can be gross, you can see with your eyes, or it can be microscopically. You mount the organism or mount the tissue under the microscope and see the cells, that is the microscopic. So they are the structural changes in a tissue secondary to some disease, like tumor finding in a cancer, and ulcer in any sort of respiratory infection, and you can see the gastric ulcer, and amebiasis, and you can see the intestinal ulcer. In atrophy, brain atrophy in dementia patient. So structural changes are produced because of disease or etiological agent, that is known as the morphological finding, and that is explained with the gross and microscopic finding in pathology. Now because of this disease process, what you can see or a clinician see or the patient complains, that is known as clinical symptoms and signs. Symptoms is what a patient complains, and signs is the what a clinician can observe or find out, that is signs. Now there are various words that I would like you to know, that is necropsy. It is a gross examination of animal cadaver by systemic dissection of the organs and evaluate the abnormal changes which is present in that organ. That is necropsy. Autopsy means study of a tissue or organ changes in a dead body, that is autopsy. Biopsy means removal and examination of tissue in a living body with the help of anesthesia and with the help of the surgeon. Euthanasia, it is an intentional putting of death of individual with an incurable or painful disease by employing the human beings. So these are the various terms you should know if you study the pathology. So now what is the prognosis? That is the exact outcome of the disease. If the clinical